You don't know where the beginning is, where the end is. Right? So imagine this would be a CD, right? But the moment I put the title, now I know where is the beginning, where there is an end. So life can be finite with a beginning and an end, or you can play the other game where life, your own life, our own life is infinite in nature. There is no beginning, there is no end. Anant. It all depends on the internal state of mind of each one of us, how you want to play it. You are limitless, you are boundless, even though you appear to be bounded by this body. As a child, if you look at the child, I always like to go to the children because they want, we'll talk about the adult ego once again later on. Okay, child, they can, or when we were as children, we could do numerous things. Just our heart will say something. We were spontaneous, and we would go do it. Now, if we think back, and say, oh my God, did I even do it? Was I even capable of doing it? We think about it. As an adult, we are constantly analyzing a lot of things. And as a result, what happens is our spontaneity goes away. We look at the pros and cons. But children are not like that. So when you're talking about the adult ego, I will do it, it's all within my control. Adult ego is very, very vicious in nature. It will never allow anybody else to progress. Anybody else progressing, I have to pull him down. Snakes and ladders. Game khelte hain na? Snakes and ladders. It will pull us down. But that child ego, on the other hand, is something which will allow everybody else to flourish, and at the same time will also flourish within. So that transformation will happen. Even though we are adults, we will become childlike. We will not become childish. We will become childlike in our approach, in everything that we do. And we become 100% successful. So you choose how you want to play the game. Yes.
Sometimes, if we compare our kids, okay, say, oh, that kid is doing very good in studies. That kid, is it bad or good? Like maybe we are building adult ego in them. We are putting our ego in them. Maybe our wishes we are putting on them. If it, oh, he's doing so well, you are not doing so well. Correct. You should
the comparison happens, right? Like the Jonases. I have this car, I need to get that car. It's that thing which happens, the competitiveness. If you really think about it, that's how we have been taught. Right from our childhood, we have been taught opposites. Good, bad, ugly, beautiful. That's how our mind has been conditioned right from the beginning. It's very counterintuitive. When you remove the competition out of your own beings, you become your natural self, where you excel in things that you are absolutely good at. Sometimes I want my child to be a doctor, even though he may not have the potential to be a doctor at all. He may be better off being an engineer or maybe a musician. But then we are also contemplating some things around, how we are to survive, because we have to pay bills at the end of the day. So it is imperative upon each one of us, as we are bringing up our children, what is it that they are good at? What is it that they excel in? And if it is a fine art, and where we know for sure that is not going to bring in enough money for them to lead good life, then we have to give them the opportunity to take up an alternative course, but at the same time we are fine-tuning that fine skill set that they possess. I'll give you an example. A child wants to be a dancer, and you put her through the dancing school and all those things. Dancing by itself will not bring her enough money in her life. But at the same time, she has the potential to become a good dance teacher, a leader, and do a lot of things. In the meanwhile, you are then supporting her in other academics that are there, which will help her get, so far as the material world is concerned, to hone her skill sets over there. Maybe science, or maybe medical, or maybe engineering, that which the child is very interested in. But at the same time, you're building the fine artistic talent of the child continuously. So by the time she becomes the age of 20, like 30, 35, maybe she can quit her job and start teaching music, start teaching dance, which is her passion. And at that time, we truly are pursuing our dreams. If you think about us, most of us, we go from 9 to 5, we go work day in and day out. We don't know what we are doing with our life. We're not following our dreams. But if you had simultaneously, if you had developed that parallelly, if you're doing that, a time shall come in your life when you can say, enough of my 9 to 5, I'm out of this, I may not make enough money. Take me for example. I am a classic example. I worked all these years, now it's going to be like 10 months ago, Honeywell, I left the company when the senior management dissolved. I didn't go back to work. I teach music. I've been teaching music for the past 15 years. I teach music, I do a lot of prayers, I do a lot of travel. Am I rich? No. I'm poorer off, money-wise, but I'm content. If there are certain things that you can do in your life, and I don't know how my life is going to turn out, because I've always, over the past 15 years, whenever I've talked, it's always been people have been listening to me. My life is like a real-time movie going on. I don't know what's going to happen to me, but I'm a child of the universe. All the things that I told you, the दूध पिलाया है मुझे जब मैं पैदा हुआ था. Until when he has given me that opportunity, he will never ever let go of me. Ever. It's not conviction, it's an experience that happens. And we just simply go on. Competition, when we compare things like that, what happens is children come under pressure. If you look in India, actually the school system here is better. India, the kids, they just only are developed only in their academics. They don't know how to lead life afterwards. But over here, the children are brought up where you do a little social service. When they come into the 8th grade, 9th grade, they join some things, they do other things other than academics. So you are kind of building a well-rounded personality in your children. And that's the most important thing that we can give. We can give them right tool sets, because once they graduate, they have to be able to deal with a lot of other things which are non-academic in nature. And if you are able to develop an artistic aspect of a child, painting, music, dance, cooking, she may bake some of the best things in life, and she may be a beautiful chef later on in life. You never know what is there. Provide that opportunity. It's okay sometimes. We always are comparing, we don't know. The best, brightest of minds that I saw me growing up, and you would have observed the same things. We would think, oh, these guys would have gone up in the ladder and things like that. We are always thinking about ladder, how do we climb up the ladder and all those things. But at the end of the day, it all proves to be hollow. It doesn't hold enough water at all. One moment we are healthy, the next moment, if ill health comes into us, that's the end of it. Things just change so dramatically. It just alters our fundamental life. We never know what's there. So, I'll give you another example. When I was working at Honeywell on the shop floor, managing around 300, 400 people, one of the first things that I did was, informally, I removed all goals. Because when you put goals, it's a limiting factor. You limit yourself. If you do not have goals, you can achieve infinite things. That's why children are able to achieve a lot of things. Our on-time delivery to our customer was a poor 45%. And if I told them I wanted 90% plus, they would have been telling me that you're kidding. And then we improved the processes, and we improved a lot of things that were in the operations, manufacturing. And like 6 months later on, the on-time deliveries came to 95%. It's a 100% improvement. Can anybody do 100% improvement? we'll say you're out of your mind. We can't do that. So that's the beauty of goals. Initially, we have to set goals for our children. Pado, study, do this, do that. Because you're acting as a guide for the child. And once the child knows that eventually I have to become, say, a doctor or a scientist, like in the 10th grade, 11th grade, and sometimes it happens in the first, in a year, second year of college, you automatically will drop your guides. Because now the focus has come. You don't need any more goals. Just like a small tree, a sapling, you have to put a fence around the tree. Otherwise it will get eaten away by animals. But once the tree itself has grown up, all the fence is not needed, it just falls apart. Same thing is with us. The guides all drop off. So do not compare your child, remember we also talked about uniqueness. Each one of us is unique. Then how can we compare? Our physiological, our physical, our psychological, our mental, our emotional, all these things, we are unique. None of us, no two people are alike. If that is true, then how can I ever compare? Never can I compare. In neither aspects of wealth, of education, or anything that is there, I can never ever compare. Rather, instill the concept of service in your children. That's why it's great in this country that you're able to go and work in a non-profit organization, volunteer in a hospital, volunteer in some other charitable organization. Develop that fine, attribute in your child. From 8th grade onwards, 9th grade onwards. So that they are thinking much above and beyond their own individual needs. And then you will start observing a polishedness, a clarity of mind that will come in the child. And we see it within ourselves too. If we join a non-profit organization and we are very passionate and we are compassionate about furthering that, we ourselves are limitless. We go and achieve a lot of things in our own, when we see in our own lives. So don't worry about it. Your children are beautiful. All our children are beautiful. Just fine-tune them through this one. What else?
Oh,
Yeah,
I was just gonna add to what you said, where you know, you had brought up the analogy of going to Disney World when you're, sad. Disney World can't make you happy, but when you think about God, you think about the divine, automatically there's something about that makes you calmer or happier.
Yeah.
Lack of not using the word happy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's just
Stillness
natural. Yeah, it's just natural to flow. So I guess my point was, rather than going to Disney World, if you find a still spot and think about God, there's so much more benefit that you can get from that
Yeah.
than going to an external stimulant.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Recently in CNN, there was a top 10 depressed cities. Guess what? Las Vegas was one of them.
Las Vegas.
Number 1 was Laughlin, Nevada. Again,
It's also same kind of city.
same kind of city.
yeah, because you're just there to
They have just
fulfill.
casinos and I think
Right.
resorts.
I went there, I spoke to some of the people
Yeah, I've
behind the
heard
scenes,
that.
and they said, oh my God, no, life is not good over here. But we always get attracted. I'm not saying be a saint. Having born in this body, you will have desires. Remember, Krishna never ever said about get your desires out. Because desires are natural. Because we have desires only, we have achieved certain things. A desire to have. Always, I think I should go off script later on. Desires always has got a negative connotation. It is the attachment to the desires which are bad. Don't be greedy, angry, jealous, envious. It is those things we have to be watching out for. You can have a desire to go to Las Vegas, have fun and come away. That's fine. But don't become sad after that, or don't become greedy after that.
If you win there, like oh wow, I win, so I'll go, I'll play for more. Or if you lose, you sad.
Correct.
Maybe it's natural state of mind.
That's a natural state of mind.
Yeah,
That
nobody
happens.
wants to lose.
Nobody wants to lose. But life is the only game where there are no losers. You get to play the game of life again. That's the beauty of life. There are no losers.
Sometimes people put Krishna in a very different way. Oh, Krishna is like Ras which he enjoyed with gopis and all.
Yeah.
He had so many gopis, and why can't we?
We have. Okay, good question. There was a similar question that came up. Krishna had 16,008 wives.
Wow.
Right? Because when one of the asuras, I'm again forgetting his name, he had kidnapped from Indra, all the Apsara from Indra Loka. They say, oh, Krishna Leela, he did all these things. Krishna did, he had so many wives, he enjoyed so much. Why can't I? Yeah, enjoy. But you got to be able to take care of each one of them as responsibly. But nowadays what people do, they just want to have fun and they just get going. Nobody takes responsibility. Either we had the concept of a lady having multiple husbands in Mahabharata, or a husband having multiple wives. We had both of them, that was there. But then it comes with a sense of responsibility. You got to be able to take care of the entire aspects of life. But nowadays what happens is, one, if someone were to even get kidnapped, a lady were to be getting kidnapped, nobody in the Indian society would want to get even married to her. They'll say, there is a, they'll just shun away. Krishna was not like that. The modern man, the world man wants just only one aspect. Chit bhi meri, pat jo hai teri. Now, both are mine. So Krishna, what he did was, Krishna's avatara right from the beginning has been very divine in nature. He just immediately showed that he is supernatural. Right from the time he was born to Devaki. He just showed, he came in his original form, and then Devaki said, how can I ever love you as a mother as a child to do? I don't want this. At that point he transforms himself into a child. And right from a baby he started showing those divine qualities. We don't possess any of those divine qualities. We are so self-centered. Even when it comes to the family too, sometimes we are very self-centered within our own individual selves.
He showed it to Yashoda also once. His whole Brahman in his mouth when he opened. But he said, there is a Maya, like you'll forget.
Correct.
Whatever you've seen, you'll forget it.
Correct.
You won't remember it. Otherwise you cannot love me as my mom.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what are the steps to becoming unself-centered?
Unself-centered?
I know obviously you probably want to do some charity stuff, work for non-profit, but what else?
To become unself-centered, you got to start off with yourself. Okay? And the retrospection and the introspection that I talked to you about, that is the fundamental foundation upon which you start with. You just do that retrospection of your life. We never ever do that. We are selective in picking our ups or the downs of our lives. You just say certain ups have happened, certain downs have happened. Start connecting your entire life. Start with that. Then in the meanwhile, as you're doing that, you want to develop that spontaneity. Okay? And again, what I shared a few months ago. Husband and wife or a family that is working, you make $100,000, whatever is your total amount of money that you make pre-tax, you divide, take just 1%. So out of $100,000, 1%, $1,000, you divide that into two, $500 and $500, and give it to the husband and wife. And then you spend it however way you want it. The husband doesn't tell the wife what to do or vice versa. And you just spend wherever you feel like spending. You want to give $20 into the temple, do it. You go to India, you see a poor man pulling rickshaw, on his back, or a coolie doing something. You can buy him tea. As simple as that. Vada. Or a breakfast that you're eating. It does not mean that you have to give it to a beggar. It's where you feel that spontaneity come into you. Practice that spontaneity. And you do it every year. Because every year we get paid. $1,000 you get. 500. And then slowly you can increase it. 1% becomes 2% or something like that. But it's pre-tax. It's very little money for the whole year. Practice that spontaneity. Slowly, you will just feel your whole life is just much larger than you. You'll see, man, I am like compressed in this little body of mine. You'll feel a joy that emanates out of you. When that starts to happen, okay, another tip, go to the mountains. Go to the mountains. Something other than which is above and bigger than you. Go on hikes. Enjoy the trails that you're walking on. Enjoy the small flowers that grow in your garden. See the spontaneity that happens over there. The beauty of that, the color that comes out of that. Those are little things. Offer that to your wife. Offer that to your child. Offer it to Bhagavan. But then when that offering is happening with, oh man, $10 diya, I just got it. We don't even think about it. We just get a bouquet of flowers. We just buy it from Costco and then we just give it off. I do admit that there is love. But when you observe the beauty of that which is there in the rose or in the flower or the leaf that is there, it just adds even more. But fundamental to all of these things, the retrospection and the introspection is extremely important. If we don't do that, we will be thrown up and down in our life, guaranteed. You do this, nothing shall happen. So when I lost my job and I said, okay, I'm leaving, people were very, very sympathetic and saying, oh, you're sorry. Why are you sorry? You don't have to be sorry. It is Bhagavan's prasadam. Why I do not know why it is happening. Remember, something changed, we are here. Something shall change, we shall not be here. Always like that. We got a job because why? There's something that changed. We got a job. Something else changed, we shall be gone. Same thing is with life and death also. People, last week, 2 weeks ago, there was this young girl, her father died all of a sudden, cancer, 50-year-old. And she's still trying to grapple with it. Why my father? And she's a young girl, like second year, third year in college. Very hard to explain, right? But if you're rooted in this knowledge, death shall not touch you. Birth shall not touch you. Yes, we will feel sad if, say, our father passed away. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm deep rooted in this knowledge. I'm not going to cry. But if my internal state of my mind says I have to cry, please cry. But once you have cried, you will move away. You will cherish the wonderful times that you have had with that person. You will be grateful with all the beautiful things that you did with that person. All those good things that happened in the past that you did with that person or anybody, those shall be your support, those shall be your foundation. And guess what? You would have felt bad, sadness will be there, but then after that, you will love your life.
I'm sorry to say, in India things are very different. If like after this some situation, you feel happy, the other people, oh, look at her. She's not even how happy she is. Her father just expired. People make like I don't know. In our culture it happens like people cannot see you happy.
Yeah.
Like if you say, oh look, like people have a habit. It's in Indian state. Sorry to say that, but Indian people thinking like, oh, if you spend too much on marriage, oh look how much they spend. If you spend less, oh they didn't do anything.
Yeah. Correct.
They won't leave you anyways.
Correct. So in those situations, once you've done this aspect, the retrospection, and once you're centered, that's what Krishna talks about, sthita prajna. You're firmly rooted in this educated aspect, this aspect. You will not be touched by any of the comments that any of the people make. Not out of ego, oh, wo jo kahe, I don't care. Not like that. You will say, thank you, Bhagavan. You vinamrata aega. you'll be very grateful. That ignorance of the comments that are coming in from the other people, that when you start to ignore them, will not be out of spite or will not be out of a pride, it will be just ignorance, ignoring happening just because it has to happen, that's all it is. You will not, आपका जो मन जो है वो वहाँ जाएगा ही नहीं. You will not even concentrate on it. पर ये जरूर कीजिएगा, retrospection कीजिएगा.
But how do we know that we've retrospected everything in our life? Sometimes we don't even remember.
Yeah.
So you have to what, do a timeline?
No, don't do timeline.
Just whenever it happens.
Whatever spontaneously happens in your life, whatever thoughts come in your life, you will. It took me 14 years to get all my things to get charted. Because there are a lot of things that will be there.
How do you
main points and low points.
How do you know you finished everything?
You'll know it. You'll know so. Remember the apple last week?
Yes.
2 months ago? I showed you the apple. You can keep on analyzing how will I know so? How will I know so? But once, whether it is sweet or whether it is bitter or whether it is salty, we do not know it, right? All this question. आपने एक बारी वो चख लिया, you will know so. Did the questions arise after that? The questions all automatically subsided. You will know so. I guarantee you that. You will know so.
What should we do to improve our concentration? Sometimes we want to concentrate on something and we cannot. Our mind goes anywhere else.
Yeah. Okay, for that, we always blame the mind. Okay?
Maybe our heart.
Maybe our heart.
Something
We always
which is
like to mind,
active in our body
active, yeah.
won't let you concentrate on something.
We always blame our mind. Always. Remember, mind is never to be blamed at all. Mind is only a field that needs to be irrigated, that needs to be fertilized, that needs to be uprooted, where seeds have to be thrown, where the desires of the seeds, once they are thrown, those desires are now flowering and they are providing us with fruits. That's all mind is. But most of us, we always blame our minds. Oh, kahan unko kahan blame kar rahe hain? That is only a side effect. We put certain things in it. And the gateway to the mind is the 5 senses. 5 senses that we have. That is what put everything in the mind. So when Krishna talks about it again in the 2nd chapter, about indriyani, when you have to rein in the indriyas, that is through these 5 senses of our, the sight, hearing, touch, and so on and so forth. When we rein in that, automatically the mind control automatically happen. You never ever control your mind, because mind will play mind games on you. Talking about control, we do not have control on anything. I can't even control my thoughts. One moment I'm here, some other thought comes from 10 years ago, and that just bothers me for the rest of my life. The next day is gone. Where from the mind, the thought came from, and from the mind. You can never ever control mind. So please don't even try to control the mind. It's the 5 senses. And the chanting that people talk about, chanting of mantras, why we should chant mantra and all those things, is that mantras are vibrations. The thoughts that are there are also vibrations. So when the vibrations are constantly being produced, the other vibrations will start to diminish. And the focus will automatically start to come in. Have you noticed one thing? When we were kids, if we are late to school, they would make us write in a notebook 120 times, 200 times, I will never be late to school, I will never be late to school, I will never be late to school. What is that? That is mantra. That is chanting. And then what happens? In a week's time, that mantra settles in us. Are we ever late to school after that? No. So, the mind vibrations have been controlled by what we did.
One.
These are all